Hey there, Talkhouse listeners, it's Josh Modell. This week, I just want to take the opportunity to remind you to listen to our sister podcast, That's How I Remember It, with Craig Finn. Craig, who perhaps you know best as the singer of the Hold Steady, loves to engage in conversation with fellow musicians and other creatives about memory and creativity. He just launched the latest season of the podcast with an episode featuring singer, artist, poet Courtney Marie Andrews. And coming up in the next few weeks and months, he's got cracking conversations with the likes of Milo Aukerman of The Descendants, Julia Steiner from the band Rat Boys, and Buck Meek of Big Thief, who's got a great new solo record out. So go ahead and subscribe, and in the meantime, I'm going to drop the Courtney Marie Andrews episode right here, so you don't even have to go find it yourself. Enjoy!
Hey, I'm Craig Finn. This is my podcast. It's called That's How I Remember It. Each episode, I talk to a creative person about their work and how their memory affects the stories they tell others, as well as the stories they tell themselves. My guest on this episode, it's our first in a little while, is Courtney Marie Andrews, a very talented singer, songwriter, poet, painter. She does a lot of things. She's got a great new record out called Valentine that I've been really enjoying. A few years back, I met Courtney when we both did an event called the Piano Recital at Carnegie Hall. It was a bunch of artists who aren't normally known for playing piano, playing at the esteemed concert hall. It was nerve-wracking for me, I have to say. But I got to hang out with a bunch of cool artists, and Courtney Marie Andrews was one of them. I saw her play a few months later at Coco in London. It was a great show. Her new record, Valentine, I believe is her 10th album. It's a very cool and deep work. I was thrilled that she joined me here. We had a great talk, and here it is. Courtney Marie Andrews, thanks for joining us here on That's How I Remember It. We start all these conversations off the same way, and it's with this question. Do you consider yourself someone who has a good memory?
That is a complicated question. I would say yes and no. I viscerally remember some things very well, and then I think my short-term memory is actually quite bad.
What do you remember well? I mean, if you qualify it, what do you think are your strengths of your memory?
Feeling-based memory.
Mm-hmm.
Things that made me feel a very intense way generally make a bigger mark on me.
And does something later conjure those memories? Like
Place. Songs. Yeah. I attach a lot of memories to place. I think because I've traveled so much of my life, place feels very nostalgic and always conjures up a lot of memories.
Do you feel like I have a sense that maybe my memory was better before I started touring a lot, and that maybe I don't want to say becoming transactional. When I met people, I think I figured I wouldn't see them again. Do you feel like touring has affected your memory?
I do feel the same way. I do feel like touring really affects memory in a bad way. And I actually noticed that because I have such a visceral memory and a feeling of the pandemic.
Mhm.
And I think it was a traumatic experience. And I said that's for the world. And it was just an intense feeling. But for the first time, I wasn't moving. So I just really remember any moment that I did move or did go somewhere. It was more potent.
Yeah. I had a thing in the pandemic where in my own work, I could work, I could create, I could write. I couldn't tell if it was good. I couldn't be critical on myself because I felt like I'd taken my own real life out of the equation, and something was missing in my own thought process or something. I don't know what it was. I just stacked up songs, and I had no idea if one was better than the other.
It's so interesting. I feel the same way. I actually didn't write for the first 3 months because I was used to writing in a state of chaos and having things constantly flooding my frontal lobe. And when that wasn't happening, I was confused as to where to gather inspiration.
Yeah. Is being in motion, like touring, etc., is that inspirational to you?
Oh, yeah, I'm one of those that loves you either love it or you hate it, and I love touring. I love it so much. I love to be in motion. Even when I'm not touring, I have a sort of migration pattern to the point where people don't really know where I live most of the time.
I know. I was thinking about that going in. Actually, I follow you on Instagram, but I wasn't sure where you are. I'm guessing Nashville.
Yeah, my home address is in Nashville, but I've started this sort of accidental migration pattern in which I go out west every January. My family's still all out west. And then I've accidentally stumbled into going into New England in the summer. And yeah, it's been I sound like a snowbird, as we call them in Phoenix, where I'm from. So,
I think after years, decades now of touring, I get restless and feel like it's somehow connected to creating. And that if I get home, I start to look for other places to be. I think that's
yeah,
natural.
it's an illness.
Well, when we frame it as memory, it might be our bodies and minds wanting to be in motion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think historically there were nomadic peoples, so
Sure.
we just got that gene that wants us to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at some point you connect it to work too, meaning you're performing, you're playing shows, you're moving around. It feels like it's working. So even though I'm writing at home and creating, I don't always I feel like there's a missing thing sometimes.
Yeah, place is always such a great palate cleanser for creation of anything. And also, I don't know if you feel this way, but I find it very hard to create sometimes in my own house because
Hmm.
there's always distractions of things that I'm neglecting. And so I find it very difficult sometimes to write at home. And I like that if I'm going somewhere and staying in a hotel, I have no worries, just focused on the work.
Yeah. Yeah. When you say place is conjuring a memory, is the light of a place part of that? That's very much for me. Like when I feel like the light in California being different than the light in New York, etc. Does that?
Oh, I love that you said that. I've talked about this a lot actually, and the painters talk about it a lot.
Mhm.
And because I've gotten a bit into painting, I've really noticed how much light affects me. And yeah, there's certain lights in certain places that I find to be very inspiring. Marin County, anytime I'm in that area, I'm like, the light is just so dreamy. Everything looks like a hazy dream, but it's still bright. And I don't know, there's certain places where the light is just beautiful,
It's
even my home state, Arizona.
yeah.
And yeah.
It's funny because I found myself really, as I've had these conversations, realizing how much light is tied to my own memories. And the Bay Area is, as you mentioned, like it has its own specific light that you only get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's a reason nobody ever wants to leave that area.
yeah, yeah. How about like, how do you feel your memory in its strengths and weaknesses? How do you think it shows up in your work?
Well, I think I love imagery a lot. And so memory, is great. It's great to have memories to draw from, to have images to speak about. And I think I'm a quite nostalgic person. So I feel like nostalgia's in in my work always, in the words and in everything like that. It weaved through all the work is a bit of nostalgia, but it can also work. Having a sort of bad memory can fictionalize your songs in a bigger way. It can make this feeling more potent if you remember it in a feeling-based way or in a not quite reality-based way. It can, I think, benefit songs.
Yeah, I mean, like a bad memory could be motivational to actually write the song.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that memories are a songwriter's greatest tool. Like, you can always in I think that a lot of my favorite songwriters' work got more and more interesting as they got older. And I think it's because they were able to look back on more and more life and have more and more perspective. And I think it's actually quite unfair that so many people think that people's greatest work is like their first record or something. Because actually, if you look at like Joni or Bob or Neil and in their retrospective years, when they're like looking back, it's like that's where some of the most Leonard Cohen, that's where some of the most profound memories and songs were born.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think I have in my own sort of world, my own theory is I think I have about a 15-year gaze that like I can't really figure out how I feel about something for 15 years. And then I can write about it pretty well. And oftentimes I see maybe some humor in 15 years ago that I wouldn't have been able to see in the moment. That's being middle-aged, maybe.
I love that. That's so interesting to think about. It is so interesting how you think so differently upon your memories each year. I've had memories that I like when they first happened, I was like, that's so horrible. And then somehow 15, like you're saying, years later, you're like, that was actually like pretty happy that happened.
Yeah.
That shaped me in some way.
Right. Yeah. I think that some way of like making something, making an album, to me is like when you're a kid and they mark your height against the wall. And every time you put down something, even at my age, it's like, well, this is where I am emotionally right now. But that's going to change. And
Yeah.
even though I won't get any taller, most likely in this lifetime, the marks on the wall will move.
I love that.
How about, do you have an early memory of music moving you?
Yes, Annie the Orphan.
Yeah.
I was 5 years old, and obviously it came with a visual and a story. And I really resonated with Annie's orphan life and her pursuit for more.
Was it the film?
Yeah, it was the whatever one was popular in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
And but the song Tomorrow, I just loved that song even as a little girl. And it's interesting because it was the first song I sang at my talent show when I was 5. And when I hear that song now, I still feel, wow, what a lovely song. The sun will come out tomorrow. Like, that's such a hopeful but sad song. And I think that memory, that song has infiltrated all of my work, which is always tends to be a little sad and a little hopeful.
Yeah, I get that. I actually, you say this, I remember the first time I ever heard that song was in grade school, and a girl, maybe a year older than me, got up and sang that song. And I'd never heard it before. I didn't know what it was, but it was moving. It wasn't
Yeah.
the first song that moved me, but it moved me in that moment.
It's so cool that I think music can it's so hard to remember those years, 4, 5, 6, but music is an amazing tool in the sense that, wow, I don't remember a lot, but I remember the songs and each step of the way.
I was just up at a friend's house staying, and he had 4-year-old twins, and there's 2 songs they really like, and they were playing them kind of back one after another. And I was like, this is so awesome to watch a young mind choose, right? Like, say, this is one. Not just I like music, but this is one
This
that's
is me.
good. Yeah.
This is what I like. Yeah.
Did your parents have music around the house?
No, not really. No, I was raised by my single mom, and we lived in the barrio in Phoenix, and the neighbors always had mariachi playing, and that's, like, very visceral to me too. But my mom said that I just started singing one day, and she thought it was really entertaining, and so I never wanted to stop singing, so she always encouraged me, but she wasn't a musician or anything like that. The neighbors all had music playing all the time, though.
When did you start playing, or when did you start making your own music?
I think I wrote songs before I knew they were songs. I guess they were poems, but they always had a chorus, and so I always wanted to write as well. And when I figured out you could do both at the same time, I was pretty shocked, pretty excited. I think I wrote my first song when I was about with guitar, like 13 or 14. But yeah, I was always singing and writing songs before then. So
Were you did you have a group of friends that were also into music?
yeah, by the time I got to middle school, yes, I had to learn that I was maybe one of the misfits first. And once that hard reality slapped me in the face, I was like, I had a lot of great friends and I had a little punk band.
Oh, cool.
That was that's the reason I wrote songs, was because me and my friend Dee Dee both play guitar, and we kept trying to play these Violent Femme songs and Bikini Kill songs, and I was like, well, these people have their own songs. Let's go home and write some songs. And I came back with 3. I was like, oh, I love writing songs. And that sort of just that was the catalyst to get me to write a lot.
Did you and did you play live?
No, I think we were just too young. We didn't understand. It was just like a garage band playing and for fun. I would have loved to, but the rest of those girls stopped playing music, and I just was like, I need to figure out how to book shows. So I started busking. And
Where were the first busking? Where was the early?
in Phoenix, there was this thing called First Friday, which was every Friday, or I think it was first Friday of the month.
Okay.
All the art galleries were free, and it is like one of the most popular things to do in Phoenix. That's where everybody goes. I would set up every first Friday of the month with a little Behringer amp and play.
Cool.
So
What, your own stuff mainly?
only my own stuff. After I discovered that I love to write songs, I couldn't stop writing them, and I was hard pressed to do a cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then later in my 20s, I was like, I should probably do some covers, like when I was playing restaurants for restaurant gigs and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I think people like it more when you don't play your own songs.
People really like covers. At this point, when you build a catalog, it's hard to be sometimes to be excited about playing covers.
Oh, yeah, I don't play them in my sets and haven't for many years. Every once in a while, like when Aretha Franklin died, you play a cover, like that sort of thing, like to honor somebody. But it's true, like when you have a 20-year catalog, you literally don't have time in your set to play a cover.
I know. I also feel like, and this is actually a memory question, so I feel good at saying it, but I wonder if you feel the same way as me. Every once in a while, someone asks me to do like a tribute to Tom Petty, a tribute to Bob Dylan, whatever. And you do one song. And I find I have, maybe because I have all day to think about it, but I am so much more likely to forget the words to that song once I'm on stage than of any of my own. It's so nerve-wracking to me.
I am in your exact boat, and I think a lot of us are.
Uh-huh.
I get so nervous, and I was a backup singer in my early 20s. I got way more nervous being a backup singer than I did singing my own songs, because I never wanted to mess up the song. Like, I never wanted to be the person that, like, ruined somebody's big chance or yeah.
Yeah, no, right. And I think it's also that, like, when you're writing your own lyrics, they're in your own voice, and they come back some sort of, I don't know, they come back to me even muscle memory wise, where someone else's is not necessarily how I'd say that, and I have to remember them exactly.
Yeah, I find that I have to play them a lot in order to nail them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's real.
One more question before I want to talk about the record, but I have one question that I ask almost everyone, and it's, if you don't have an answer for it, it's fine because it puts you on the spot. But have you ever had a song ruined for you, like someone else's song, some song that when you hear it, you're just like, ugh, like due to some sort of memory attached?
Oh, because of a memory attached.
The obvious would be a breakup, but like there could be any reason.
Yeah, that's so interesting. No, I think that maybe I'm like a masochist or something, but I like what I like those painful feelings. Or like there's always, when you have perspective on pain, I don't know if you've had this in your life, but it's almost like you can romanticize it in a way.
Mhm.
This might just be something I'm like messed up with, but I feel like when there's a song attached to these painful memories, which there are many, like there was a War on Zevon record called Preludes that very much was like intertwined in a breakup. And I look back on it almost with this like, oh, I'm past this pain. And it almost feels like, I don't know, there's like a nostalgia wrapped up in it or something. But it's never ruined. It just evokes like a weird romanticism. I don't know.
I 100% get that. I 100% get that. It probably has some, I don't know. I'm not a therapist, but it probably has something to do with coming to terms with whatever pain that was.
Yeah.
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 Because I have things around when my mother passed that I attach it to my mother's passing. I don't attach all negative memories to it. I also think of some of kindness, etc.
It's hard to let a memory ruin a great record.
Yeah, right. Well, if it's that good,
Yeah,
it's got to
exactly.
push through. Speaking of good records, I love the new record Valentine, and I wondered, it's your first one since 2022. Do you have a memory in making of like the first step you think towards making this record? You're always creating, I imagine, but if you had to pinpoint the first step towards making Valentine, what would it be?
It's so funny because you never really know,
That's
at lea yeah, what it's going to become, or even sometimes what the songs are that are gonna be on it. You just write, at least I do, I just fumble towards a destination, and I'm not really sure where I'm going. But I would say, like, my first visceral memories of making the album were I was caretaking a family member in Arizona, and I had a pretty rough go at it. He was terminal, and it was really intense. And after he'd gotten a little better, and so I left to California for like 2 months just to like, I didn't wanna go home. I just wanted to like drive west. I thought this is the only way forward for whatever reason in my mind. So I drove west, and I feel like the moments where I really the visceral moment where I wrote the songs that would become Valentine were in those 2 months, and I was staying in this really crazy room, that looked like a treehouse, and I didn't really see many people. Like, I was very in a solitude place and just writing a lot, and that room the room in which I wrote so many of those songs was so visceral in my memory. The way the light came through the window, like, twinkling through the trees, and I wrote all the songs in bed because the bed was basically surrounded by windows,
Mm-hmm.
and I just spent every day hiking, like,
What part of
4
California?
hours a day.
It was in California?
Yeah, in
What?
LA.
Oh, in LA. Cool.
It was just a studio apartment thing in Hollywood, and
Mm-hmm.
I just did, like, I subletted, but that is, like, that's the moment I think this is when I really wrote Valentine, which would, I guess, would be the origin of the record.
Was it long after? Was it when you finished touring on the last record, Loose Future, or were you?
No, so I have a record in between Loose Future and
You do.
Valentine. An entire, yeah.
Wait a minute.
That no, it's not released.
Oh, that good because I was about to
It's
go really soon.
nobody
I
knows.
know
I
Loose
guess
Future.
I'm announcing it. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. No, it's not released. It's shelved. It's a
It
story
didn't
for
happen.
another time, but
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a year and a half. I made that record after, because I had so many songs for the pandemic that I just had 2 records, basically. And then after that, I made Valentine.
So there's this thing that happened on Valentine. So it's interesting you talk about caring for a family member, because as I was listening to it, I have this kind of thing I say, but what I really believe is that the two true magic things in this world are love and grief. Meaning, like, they're the things that no matter how scientific or technologically advanced we get, I don't think we'll ever understand those. And there seems to be a big helping of both of you on this record.
Yeah, that is truly like the 2 themes that sort of plagued me the whole time. It was a true feeling of like grieving a past, and also having a sort of like grief for like future nostalgia or something, like not sure if something's going to work out
Mm-hmm.
in the future.
Yeah.
So it was like I was suspended between the grief of the possibility of the future and and the known of the past. And yeah,
It feels
interesting.
like, to me, and this is, I mean, I think this is natural as we grow as people, but there feels like an evolving definition of love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 songs, Keeper and Best Friend, that kind of investigate friendship as love, not just in a romantic sense, maybe.
Yeah. The record is set up in a story in that side B definitely is like going internal
Yeah.
after your heart's been broken, just going like, why did this happen? Oh, I'm the outsider. I'm the person that needed the best friend, and
Yeah.
all that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I think like I was grappling with those all types of love.
Yeah. In Cons and Clowns, there's this like line, I think it's the first line, don't make yourself small, take up space. It's a powerful affirmation, but it also it feels like an affirmation. Is that a sentiment you're more likely to say to yourself or to a friend?
I think both. Yeah, I think it's just certain people have a harder time taking up space. Some people have a hard time taking up space in certain times in their life.
Yeah.
Their life makes them feel small, and so they act small. So I've said it to both. I don't know if there would be one more likely, but I definitely have felt small in my own life too, and shy and afraid. So, yeah.
I asked because I was asking myself the same question. I felt I've had to say that to myself at times, but I feel like I've frustratedly said it to friends as well.
Yeah.
Even recently. So it's a great affirmation. It's a great opening line. Later in the song, if you can only see the magic I see. And I thought about this as this kind of being as kind to ourselves as we are to others. And does that resonate? Like if you can only see the magic I see, that seems to me like that's that being that idea.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how big your love becomes when you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to shed love onto people and to make them feel seen, but it's a lot more powerful if you're feeling that same way about yourself. It means more, or like it feels more potent or something.
I find myself giving advice and being only when asked, but when being very forgiving, like, hey, you're only doing your best. But I don't know that I ever tell myself, you're only doing your best.
Oh, yeah. It's yeah, the voice that's talking to us at night is generally not the friend.
Drill sergeant.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a gym teacher, yeah. My favorite is favorite song on the record is "A Little Picture of a Butterfly," and there's this thing of like, well, you guess I'm going out for a drink, guess I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm driving around in a red Corvette, guess I'm single in a little black dress. There's a part in the song where you, I don't know, go out of body or something, like you're observing yourself.
Mm.
Is that what you intended on that?
Yeah, I do this a lot, but almost subconsciously in songs where I switch from like first to third, like from
Mhm.
I'm in the song and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Hey, wake up." And I think that informed like how the music ended up being made around it, which was like, oh, in the beginning I am in this sort of fantasy. There's like flutes and
Mhm.
synths and just like, whoa, this is a dream. It's so dreamy. It's so new agey. And then when the drums kick in, you're just like, the spell is broken. And then you're like, get the F up and like wake up and
Yeah.
see that this is not healthy or like good and like go out and be your best, be
Snap
yourself.
snaps into focus. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the alarm clock rings and it's
Yeah.
here we are. Well, thinking about the flutes and all that, I'm always interested in, you've never made same record twice. I'm curious about what the producer was, Jerry Bernhardt, right? Is that
Mhm.
right? What did he bring to it? How did he help?
Well, Jerry and I started touring together in 2022 and we had such a amazing musical connection, and he had produced a couple records before that, but I just had this feeling I wanted to make this record with somebody I knew,
Hmm.
and so in he brought so much to the record. Him and I played all the instruments, like, it was pretty much just Jerry and I made the record, which is crazy, with an engineer and a drummer, Chris Bear on 3 songs. But, yeah, I mean, he was a giant part of it. He plays so many instruments, sings incredible harmony,
Hmm.
and he has a very deep knowledge of music. He can reference things truly. He can reference them in a way that a lot of people don't or can't.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's a true studier of music and understands sounds and that sort of thing. So, he was a joy to work with on the record, and I couldn't it wouldn't have happened without him because it was just him and I running frantically back and forth into Studio A, like, doing
Hmm.
instruments as fast as we could in 10 days. So
So I made a few records with just like a producer, a similar situation, producer, multi instrumentalist, and I feel sometimes that having less bodies around can help you get to the heart of the matter, both physically or like in an actual sense, but also emotionally. Did you find that?
Oh, yeah, I prefer a I've done a lot of records now, and my favorite records have been small casts.
Hmm.
When there's too many people, it just gets a little messy. It is hard to see the sort of vision, uh, and I just think it's quicker actually to it's definitely not as quick when you can't just cut the whole band o or on the floor or whatever, but it's quicker to get to the like you're saying, to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, it's more efficient and there's less management of, even great personalities. Like they're just numbers make things
Mhm.
can slow things down, etc. There's this line going back to the songs, but everyone wants to feel like you do. There's this I'm like super prompt. Like I show up everything on time, and as does my partner Angie. And the first it says on the it's talking about someone who it's a complex sentiment, the whole song, but some you say you're never on time. And it reminded me of being in when my partner Angie and I were talking about when someone was late. And I was like, we hate when people are late. Like we're really like, and she said, yeah, I wish I was confident enough to be late. And I was like, "Oh my god, I've never thought about it that way." But it's like, I could never have someone wait for me, or I really don't want that. And I feel like the person in the song, which is I think it's a funny line because everyone wants to feel like you do, and it made me think of that. Like, everyone wants to feel like you do, which is, I don't know, sort
Overly
of
confident.
overly confident, not afraid to make people wait for them.
Yeah. No, that's the person in the song. I think, like, it's so funny, that's a song that sort of came out and then I found the meaning later, I was like, "Oh, this is that that dude that just like everything is on his own whim.
Mm-hmm.
And only I think a male figure could really waltz in the world like that without having any repercussions.
It ends up being a song about privilege in some way.
Yeah. And I think like privilege is so funny because everybody can say, yeah, oh, that's because you're privileged, but everybody would like to feel like that sort of like boundlessness or confidence, like your partner said. And
yeah. It's another song. It feels like another song where the singer's asserting themselves or attempting to assert themselves in a way, which ends up being a theme.
That's right on. Yeah.
So just a couple more. One is that I know you recently put out, I think, your second poetry book, Love is a Dog That Bites When It's Scared. Is there anything you would say that you get from poetry that you don't get from songs, or vice versa?
I think like poetry has become my sort of way to play jazz with words.
Cool.
I could just be a little freer. I'm not barred in by a melody or structure. And I love words. Since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to write books, whether that was poetry or long form. And so it's purely a passion project. And I just love to write, and I love to collect all my writings and put them in a collection. So, but as far as like what it gives me, I think it gives me, sometimes songs can be, I always say the songs can be a little bit like very heart conversation, a whisper in a friend's ear, like something that you would say that's very intimate. And poems allow me to be a little bit more philosophical and stand back and assess a little more. And that's really nice. I think I'm a little bit wiser sometimes when I'm writing poetry than when I'm writing a song.
Do you think, like, what, Gotta Let the Pendulum Swing in the first song on the record, is poetry, painting, and songwriting, is that all part of the pendulum? Is it all work together?
Yeah. At first, when I started exploring these other realms, I felt ashamed, like I couldn't take my attention away from music. And then I realized that it's really beneficial, because when I step back from the writing board with songs and do something else, when I come back to it, it feels like being a child again. I feel really excited to write a song. And I think I'm like now in this kind of amazing part of my creative world and in my creativity where I can be in a constant state of childlike wonder, because I am focused on different things and away from the other thing long enough to miss it.
Talking about your punk band when you were younger, like I whenever I do something outside of music, I try to give myself a pep talk that, like, okay, well, there was a time when you could have told yourself you had no business making a record, and now you've made 15 of them. So, like, just apply that first thing, the first steps to I can do it, to whatever else you're doing next. And it feels like that's been, I don't know, motivational or helpful for me. That's my own affirmation.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's so important to just dive in. I guess I'm just not really afraid to make bad art if it's not about that. It's like, it's about getting closer to the soul, or I don't know. And I think it's fascinating. I love to learn things, and you can always learn if you're open to it.
You can always learn if you're open to it. Great message there from Courtney Marie Andrews. Really great talk. So happy she joined us here. Check out her new record, Valentine, and see her on tour. She's in the UK and Europe now, with US dates in April. I also have some shows coming up. The Hold Steady will be in London March 5th to 8th. We'll be celebrating 20 years of Boys and Girls in America, our third album, which feels crazy, but it is 20 years old, and we will be celebrating. These celebrations then continue throughout the year in Boston, Chicago, Portland, and Seattle, and New York. Come be a part of it. I've also been doing a solo residency this month, February 2026, on Wednesdays at Union Pool in Brooklyn, and man, That has been really fun so far. These are all sold out, but if you have a ticket already, I think you're going to really enjoy it. So after a bit of a break, we are back with That's How I Remember It. We have some great guests on the way. Already in the can, so psyched. Episodes every other week. Thanks again to Courtney Marie Andrews for helping us kick off 2026. And thanks to you for listening. We couldn't have even done it without you. Keep tuning in. I'm Craig Finn, and that's how I remember it.